Can you be fluent in 6 months? And if the answer is yes, how? How can you be fluent in English over the next 6 months? That's what I'm going to talk about. I'll be giving you 5 steps to help you on your journey to fluency. So stay with me until the end. If you don't know me very well, hello, I'm Teacher Prix, and I'm going to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Make sure to subscribe to my channel because every week I post different kinds of English lessons to help you become a better and more confident English speaker. So yes, consider subscribing. If you have already done so, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hit the like button because that really helps the channel. But not just that, it helps YouTube understand that this is a good lesson. But here we go. Can you be fluent in 6 months? And I'm going to give you the answer. It's yes. Okay, if you want to just know like, yeah, really? Yes. But I will explain a few things about English fluency, and I will give you 5 steps of things you must do over the next 6 months and for the rest of your journey if you want to be fluent in English, because your work doesn't stop after 6 months. It only continues, but in a good way. So, here on my channel, guys, I help pre-intermediate and intermediate students. That's my focus. That's my mission. I help students who already finished their basic practice. They can understand me. However, they are stuck and they need more so that they can go from stuck to speaking, comprehension. That's what I help students with here on my channel. And this level is what I call the transition level. You're not a beginner, you're not fluent, you are changing. And you need to make the right changes if you want to go to the next levels, if you want to be fluent and feel confident about your ability to speak English. So this is what you need to do. And here, guys, it's completely possible over the next 6 months for you to be fluent. Amazing. You also need to understand what fluency is, and I will explain. In my case, my story, just to make it very short, I went from nothing to fluent in 6 months. That happened to me. I have friends who got the same thing. People who went from nothing to fluent in 6 months. And there are some studies that show that in 3 months you could do it. A challenge, but it's possible. So don't doubt your ability to master a language in 6 months. So nowadays, that's what I focus on. I help pre-intermediate and intermediate students to go from stuck to speaking in 6 months. That's basically what I do with my BSA. I give them all the necessary lessons, strategies, practices to help them in this process so that inside my program, they stay with me for a year. But over the next 6 months, they will see the transformation if they implement what I recommend. The secret is in the method. Now, that being said, before I give you the 5 steps, you need to understand this. To achieve fluency in 6 months, you need to understand that your journey will continue after 6 months. You are not going to be done. Oh, I'm done. Now I'm fluent. I don't need to do work because I'm good. No, you will need to continue working on your English. Even if after you unlock your speaking comprehension, you will find difficult things, challenges. It only continues. Priscilla, I still find challenging activities for me. So the journey continues, and this is a good thing. So you will need to keep challenging yourself. You will need to explore new places. That's why I like to call your journey to fluency. The journey gets better. Fluency is the process, not the end game. All right? Keep that in mind. So fluency is communication, not perfection. Another concept students need to understand. So don't create an unrealistic fluency goal. If I compare myself today with the Priscilla who became fluent in 6 months, oh my God, I'm much better now. But in 6 months, I could understand, I could talk to people, I had good explanations, I could use vocabulary and describe everything I needed, I felt confident. But if I compare with today, excuse me, I'm much better. And I know that in 1 year from now, I'll be much better than today. So don't set unrealistic goals because you will only be disappointed. So when I say in 6 months you'll be fluent, you will be communicating, you will be understanding most things you hear. Because in listening, there will always be someone that will present a challenge for you. That's why we keep studying. So that's my belief of what fluency is, communication. You're going to communicate and understand people well in English with confidence, but always keeping in mind that there will be work to be done. It's part of the game. It's part of the journey. The journey continues, and this is a good thing. The victory, the fulfillment, the joy will come in the process, not when you reach a place. No, but in the process. But anyway, how do you do it? Step 1. I want to think that you're watching this video to get ideas, and if you want to improve and see results, this is the first thing you're going to do today after you finish this lesson. You're going to assess your skills. Which skills are stronger and which ones are weaker? So analyze your English now. Which ones are stronger? And most people will immediately say, oh, it's speaking. My speaking is bad. So guys, don't assume speaking is the one which needs most work. Many people don't speak English because they have poor grammar. Many people don't speak English because they have very poor vocabulary. Many people can't speak English because they have a lot of problems here. They feel very insecure. They don't feel confident at all. They get very anxious and stressed. So they study and study and study, but the stress consumes them. So analyze, be very honest, because all these skills work together to help you communicate. So analyze your reading, your listening, your writing, your English speaking, of course, vocabulary, pronunciation, your grammar, intonation. All of these components will impact your ability to communicate and understand people in English. So you need to assess, analyze what is working, what is not, what English skills are difficult for you, what is not. Do you have clear pronunciation? These are things that you need to analyze before you get started. So that's the first step. That is step 1, especially if you are alone, if you don't follow any program, if you don't have a teacher like me guiding you. So that's very important for you to do. And second thing, the second step is hit the like button. The second thing you have to do if you want to be fluent over the next 6 months is share this video with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and if you want some materials of mine, I have an excellent study plan. Check the description of this video, a listening mastery workshop to work on your listening skills. So get more information in the description, but let's keep rolling because I have a lot of information to give. Step 2, plan your next 6 months. Frequency you're going to study, what lessons and materials you're going to use, and how you're going to combine these skills. People who are completely alone need help. Okay, they need to be organized. If you are alone and you want to be successful, you need organization. This is actually the reason why so many people fail. With my babies in my academy, I plan everything for them. For 1 year, they stay with me. They don't need to worry about it because everything is organized. But if you're not a student from my academy, you will need to do this. How often are you going to study? So that you can feel a big difference over the next 6 months. So that you can go from stuck to speaking over the next 6 months. What kind of lessons are you going to study? Think of subjects you want to study. How are you going to combine these skills? If you're going to study 3 times a week or 5 times a week, you always have to think of combination, reading and speaking, always with the speaking, preferably listening and speaking, grammar and speaking, vocabulary and speaking. This is the mentality, the mindset you need to have over the next 6 months if you want to be fluent, if you want to talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime. And one recommendation I'm going to give you here is you're going to track your progress. You're going to measure your progress by recording a video weekly speaking in English. So every week you finish your studies, your practice, record a video. and talk. Pick a subject, make a short presentation. And then every week you will see gradually this will get easier for you to do. You will be tracking your progress and you will be showing your brain that what you're doing is working. The more you practice your English speaking and use the lessons you're studying every week, the more you're going to show your brain that what you're doing is working. This is another thing I do with my students. I always recommend them, hey, every week practice your English speaking, even alone. I did this alone and I still do. Practice your English speaking every week, because by the end of 6 months, a year that you're here with me, you're going to be you're showing your brain the progress you're making. And this is so important if you want to go from stuck to speaking over the next 6 months. The next thing you're going to do, step number 3, work on the foundation of communication. Now, guys, in most conversations, there are 2 important points. You're either asking questions or answering questions. And oftentimes, students worry about answering questions. They just worry about answering questions. And then when I tell them, ask me a question, bring it on, they don't know how. So, do you want to be fluent over the next 6 months? You need to master the art of communication, the art of conversation. And that is asking questions. So you need to be really good at asking questions, and that's grammar. That's grammar work. So you need to practice creating easy questions, difficult questions. Some questions will require an explanation before you ask the question. That's what fluent people do, and so should you. So this is foundation work. This is the foundation of communication, answering and asking questions. So in your weekly practice, you need to do this. Ask questions. Practice answering questions. So let's say, as I told you before, think of subjects for you to study every week. So let's say that this week I am talking about the food industry and the dangers of, food industry and the dangers of fast food. What kind of questions can I ask? And don't come with a simple, oh, what do you eat every day? No, you're talking about the food industry. You're talking about the dangers of fast food. So think of more complicated questions if you want to be fluent, for discussions, for meaningful conversations. You're not a beginner anymore. Here on my channel, I help specific people. So food industry, how does the food industry impact society nowadays? That's a more advanced question for a conversation. That's what I want you to practice. That's what I mean when I say conversations. Of course, you can create the basic, more simpler questions. Yes, absolutely. But think of something more intriguing when you are practicing questions that are difficult to answer. Even in your language, they would be difficult to answer because they're complex. They require more analysis, more critical thinking. So that's what I mean by this step. There's more in step 3. Another foundation is past, present, future. This will always be present on your journey. It doesn't matter how advanced you are. So at the beginning, you learned the basic explanations of past, present, future. When you get to an intermediate level, pre-intermediate, intermediate level, you learn more complements, more explanations, extra information about past, present, and future. When you go to a more advanced and fluent level, you learn more information about past, present, future. There are so many details that we don't teach students because they're not ready. So at some point, you will need to go and analyze these extra pieces of information. So this is the foundation of communication, past, present, future. So in your weekly practice, for the next 6 months, 1 year, forever, for the rest of your journey, always find opportunities to review past, present, and future. Okay? And how are you going to do this? You will focus on the same tense, but you will change the subject of the week. So I gave you the example of the food industry. And I can work on present with this. I can talk about the future. I can decide. Next week, I can pick a different subject and then focus on one conjugation again, or past or present or future. That's what I do with my students, for example. So we have a group conversation classes, we have workshops, and I focus on past or present or future, but I change the subject. For example, once we talked about childhood friends. Then we talked about first jobs. They're both simple past. First job, childhood, simple past, but different subject. Cities now and in the past. Present and past. See, different subject, but I'm focusing on past and present. Technology now and in the past. Different subject, but present and past. So I'm always finding different ways to focus on the same grammar point. Because if you master past, present, and future, you will be able to have most conversations in English. That's what I believe. Of course, you will need to learn present perfect. You will need to learn present continuous. All those tenses, passive voice, reported speech, all those guys are important. I'm not saying they aren't. They are. But many people fail to do the basics. Even at an advanced level, we have to go back to basic explanations. So this is a constant on your journey to fluency. And there's no shame in that. I'm just mentioning this again just to show you how important it is, okay? Now, step 4. Fluent people speak clearly. Work on pronunciation and intonation. Guys, fluent people speak clearly. And one mistake I sometimes see in students, especially at pre-intermediate level or intermediate level, is they use a word from their language, they create pronunciation, and then they use in conversation. It is very difficult to understand people when they do this. Even for me as a teacher, it is very difficult to understand people who create words and create pronunciation. So here we have two problems, vocabulary and pronunciation. So you always need to use to practice pronunciation and intonation, no matter what your level is. Even everything I teach, guys, is what I do. So I am always working on pronunciation, intonation, shadowing, because fluent people speak clearly, not perfectly. I know I'm not American. So many people come here on YouTube and say, "Oh, you're not American." I know. I never said I'm American. I never said I'm a native speaker. I never lied to you. Okay? That's why I am constantly working on my pronunciation. And I have no intention whatsoever of becoming a native speaker, because I know that's not possible. But I'm constantly working on myself. I don't have an American accent. I have an international accent. I speak very clearly. That's why so many people understand me, because that's my goal with my channel. Now, guys, watching another important thing here for the rest of your journey. If there are difficult sounds for you, watch lessons to work on those sounds. T8 is difficult. The V is difficult. The B is difficult. The word endings, a big problem with intermediate students, because they didn't practice this at the beginning. This happens a lot. At the beginning, you were so worried about learning the verbs, the conjugations, that you ignored pronunciation of words at the end. So as a result, when you get to pre-intermediate and intermediate level, your word endings are bad. Like, I need, I want, I go, excellent. This is a problem. And this is shadowing work. You need to do more shadowing, work on pronunciation, syllable stress. You're probably stressing too much the endings, especially Brazilian people watching. We have this problem. What are we gonna do? We do it. Okay? Italian people, your R's are very strong. What are we gonna do? We have to work. Asian people, the R's, the L's, you need to fix that. It happens. So we need to work on those sounds, connecting the words. And this is forever, for the rest of your journey, okay? It doesn't matter how advanced you are. I sometimes have to sit down and review basic sounds because I make mistakes too. So I watch my videos, I pay attention to my pronunciation, and if I identify a repetition of mistake, I'm like, hey, go back, study, review. There's no shame in that. This is the journey. Embrace it, okay? Hey, support the channel, hit the like button, subscribe. I'm working really hard here to bring you the very best. And finally, number 5, this is for me at this level, at a pre-intermediate or intermediate level, the most important one. Because you could go to Harvard like I did. You could live abroad like I did. You could have access to the best teachers in the world like I did after I went to Harvard. I had access to amazing professors. But if you don't work on your mind, it doesn't matter. You can study abroad. You can go to Canada to study for a year, for 2 years, for 3. It doesn't matter. If you don't work here on your confidence, on your emotional intelligence, you will be stuck for a very long time at pre-intermediate or intermediate level. And it breaks my heart to see that. I have worked with marvelous people with excellent skills, but every time they had to make presentations, they were stuck. They couldn't. And this happens, and I don't want that for you. So you need to work on the mind. Meditation, exercises to practice your confidence, to build the control, the emotional control, to handle the pressure of speaking another language in front of people. And there are even courses that prepare people for using more their communication skills. So if that is your case, then do it because it is so important. So emotional intelligence, you will get stuck if you don't work on the mind because fluency starts in the mind. Fluency starts here, okay? And I have met people with wonderful skills and we had to work on the mind. The biggest work was in the mind. And it's possible to build that. That's why your practice, your English practice, needs to be connected with your emotional practice. And the more small victories you have, the more confident you're going to become. So confidence comes from action. So in your practice, you need to use speaking, to use your speaking skills, because it will help you build your confidence so that the next time you have to talk to someone, you will be able to. Now, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said, I have an excellent study plan that will help you organize your life, organize your study routine. I definitely recommend it. And my listening mastery workshop, these are different products, but I am sure they're going to help you on this journey to English fluency. Other than that, all I can ask you is to subscribe and maybe share this video with someone. I shared a lot of important strategies here that I know can help other people just like you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye!